Hello and welcome back to my channel, and today I've got a little guest with me. This is Jean-Paul. I thought it was about time really that I made a little version of him in polymer clay for my channel, so I'm going to be using Animal Crossing as a bit of inspiration really. So I'm going to make a little model, hopefully in an Animal Crossing style, but I'm going to really try and make it as kind of clay disarray in its aesthetic as I can, because you know I always try and incorporate my own style. So yeah, let's see how I get on. So I'm going to give my dog a purple base, I think, so I'm using some really nice violet Fimo here. And I'll just use a small cookie cutter here. Now I seem to have lost some footage actually of making the dog's legs that you'll see in the background here. I don't know what happened, it's just one of those things I think, but they're just very basic leg shapes, and I used some mica powder on the bottom, and I'll show you how I did that when I come to his paws a little later on. So I'm just going to attach the legs to the base, just with a tiny bit of craft wire like so. And I just need to ensure that they're pretty symmetrical. And I'll use a wet wipe here just to ensure they're nice and clean. Like all polymer clay artists, or most of them, I really don't like working with white clay because it picks up everything, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge I think. So I'm moving on to the body now, and I'm making just a very basic ball shape with some foil, and that will act as a sort of basic armature really. And I'm just going to wrap that with a sheet of white polymer clay that's been through my pasta roller, and I'll just take the edges off with some scissors and roll that around in my hands so it's a nice ball shape. And now that that's done, I'm just going to loosely place it onto the legs so I know where the leg positions should be. So with my small ball tool here, I'm just going to press in quite firmly just so the legs have somewhere to go, and I'll just attach them like so. And I'll use a good old wet wipe just to smoothen the white clay down. So I can move on to his jumper now, so I think I'm going to give him a nice kind of turquoisey jumper. So I need just a strip of clay, and I'll just wrap that around his body like so. As with all of my videos, I need to just give you a heads up about traffic noise. My studio is on quite a busy road, so you'll invariably hear some rumbles here and there, although I do my best to try and edit those out in editing. It's not always possible, unfortunately, but hopefully it won't be too much of a problem. So I'm moving on to my dog's arms now, so it's just a very basic shape like so, and I'll attach some paws just at the ends. And I'll just ensure that the arms are sort of fairly triangular shapes. So I'm moving on to my mica powder here, and I'm doing exactly the same thing that I did with his legs. So I'm just going to pat down some mica powder like so. And then attach the arms. And I just need to ensure that they're quite symmetrical, so just takes a moment or two just to ensure that your placement's good. And now I'm going to give him a little design for his jumper, so it's just a very basic heart shape. And I'll just insert some craft wire for the head. Oh, I just wanted to say a big hello and welcome to my channel to those that have subscribed recently. via Emma over at Whispers Red ASMR, who put a post up on her YouTube channel, and I think on her Instagram stories as well, of the model that I made of her a week or two ago. So that was really lovely of her to do. I was really quite blown away actually by people liking and commenting, etc. So that was really lovely. I noticed that a regular theme in the comments was about my style of working, or my voice being sort of quite relaxing, and whether I'd ever consider doing ASMR contents. And the answer is I'm definitely interested. I think the problem is, as I've mentioned, traffic noise, etc. But if I can ever fathom a way that I can record, you know, sufficient quality audio, then yeah, for sure I'll give it a go. But for now, I'm just going to try and concentrate on keeping my content sort of fairly relaxing in tones, so you can watch it before bed, etc. So yeah, that's really lovely to hear in terms of feedback anyway though, so it's definitely given me food for thoughts for future content. And as I say, I love ASMR content, so it'd be really interesting to see if I could do anything that was, you know, fairly successful in terms of ASMR. So I think the answer to that is definitely watch this space. Maybe someday I'd yeah, certainly be interested. So I'm moving on to Jean Paul's head now, and I've got a very thin strip of white clay here that's I've cut down to size, and that just needs to fold over his head like so. And it's a little bit fiddly, if I'm honest, and it took me a little while to figure this out, but I think it was worth it in the end. So there we go. It's certainly reminiscent of the sort of head shapes, etc. on Animal Crossing, so I'm pretty pleased with that. And I have to offer a bit of a disclaimer on this video in that I've never actually played Animal Crossing. I'm just really drawn to the character design, however, because I noticed that over on Twitter I follow quite a lot of illustrators, and yeah, since lockdown a lot of them have been pretty interested in Animal Crossing, so I thought it might be a nice sort of crossover video today. So there's his nose, and he's certainly coming together as a little French Bulldog now. Just going to make the eye sockets a little more prominent. So I was kind of experimenting with the mouth at this point, and I just couldn't come up with anything that I was kind of happy with, because Jean Paul's got such a grumpy face in reality that I just found that anything kind of happy looking really didn't kind of evoke Jean Paul's personality really, so I thought I'd leave that just for a while to ponder on. So I'm just going to work on his eyes here instead. And again, I just experimented with some pink cheeks, because you know I quite like a pink cheek here and there, but again I didn't think it worked really. So finally I settled on just a straight line really for his mouth, because that, you know, it gives more of a kind of impassive kind of expression really, so that was a lot more fitting really than a smile, I think. So yeah, pretty pleased with this one. It's definitely Animal Crossing meets Clay Disarray, because it's neither one nor the other, yet it's both one and the other, if that makes sense. So yeah, I was really pleased with this, and I'm certainly interested to make similar characters in the future. And because the piece was a little portrait of Jean Paul, I thought I'd ask him what he thought. Well, I guess he, yeah, is a bit indifferent, shall we say. hope you enjoyed that. I think I did a pretty good job considering. It's a pretty different piece to my usual style of working, as I'm sure you'll agree if you've seen any of my previous work. Although I think you can definitely see a clay disarray aesthetic coming through as well. So yeah, I think I met my own brief there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.